we know that we have to actually build people of peace, fall in love with Nigeria. So the topic for today is how can we achieve this? Building a people of peace, fall in love with Nigeria. Some Nigerians are no longer in love with Nigerians. I'm not even too sure they pray for the country. And somebody called this morning, and of course he said his only thinking is about how to get out of this country with his family. That goes to show the kind of sentiment people attached to the country, so to say. It's beginning to fade, and people are saying, our leaders are saying that they'll continue to work hard so that we'll remain one united Nigeria. So that's what we're going to look at this morning. Charity is here.
So two gentlemen are in the studio this morning to take us through how to build a people of peace, fall in love with Nigeria. And first on the list here is Mr. SOLA BABALOLA, who is the State Director, NOA. You're welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, viewers.
And our second guest in the studio is COMRADE YINKA FOLARIN, the Chairman Coalition of Civil Societies. You're welcome, COMRADE.
Good morning, and good morning, our viewers.
Yes, so let me start with Mr. SOLA BABALOLA. Fortunately, you are the State Director of National Heritage Agency, and I know one of the things you do is to actually give us orientation how to build a varied nation, how to actually live together and work together so that progress will continue to be part of what the nation will continue to have progress, so to say. But looking at what has been happening, so to say, chief of which is the security issues, and of course looking at no love lost between herdsmen and the people around where they actually go about grazing with their animal, and looking at all these challenges, how tough is it, or how easy is it going to be to actually continue to preach building people of peace and falling in love with the country more and more?
Thank you. Let me start by saying that an underlying slogan that has been a characteristic feature of our enlightenment programs in the last 5 years is building a people of peace. We want to build a people of peace. We want all of them, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of political affiliations, irrespective of religious sentiments, to come together, coexist peacefully. It is under this atmosphere that we can exist. Yes, like you are saying it, with all this that is going on, one may be tempted to say it is tough, but the truth is that there is no other way to address it rather than a continuous sensitization, persuasion, use all stakeholders to embrace the idea that peace is the way out. And this is what we are doing. Particularly, we are capitalizing on the Valentine season we are into last Sunday to actually move around. Presently, we are moving around all religious organizations. The herdsmen, the farmers, all the agitators, they belong to one religious organization or the other. Even those that does not, that we miss out in the religious setup, because we were in the mosques on Friday, we were in the churches, all of us, nationwide, on Sunday. From Monday, we've been going to opinion leaders, we've been going to the motor parks, we've been going to marketplaces, and of course, public structures that we have an assembly of people coming together. We must love, in the first instance, love must be entrenched. Yes, we have bastardized our yesterday, that is where we are today. And for the correction of our today, and for a better Nigeria, for a better tomorrow, we must take conscious effort to correct our today. Part of the correction is to make sure love is entrenched. That's why we are preaching the messages of love. When you love yourself, you will want to do everything to secure yourself. By securing yourself, you are even securing your neighbor. The love is going to be extended to your neighbor. You love Nigeria. Once you love Nigeria, you will not want to do anything that will be detrimental to both Nigerians and Nigeria. So this is what we are doing, extending this to all areas, security, even this issue of COVID-19. We are bringing it into it to make sure that we secure Nigeria, we play our role to secure Nigeria against all these harassments that are going on, and of course against COVID-19.
Comrade Folarin, are we walking the talk? The actions of some of our leaders, so to say, is it synonymous with the sensitization program or sensitization ability, or what the people in the NOA are trying to do? Are we saying we are working in the same direction? If you look at what they say, what they do, and what people like Mr. SOLA BABALOLA wants to preach to build Nigeria together. For example, sometime last week we heard of a governor who said the herdsmen were only carrying AK-47 for security sake, and they are entitled to carry it. If you look at some statements like this and looking at trying to build a people of peace, and of course that will fall in love with Nigeria, is it not? How do you describe this? Are we walking the talk?
Well, thank you very much. I must say, if indeed we walk the talk, then the talk should have advanced us beyond where we are today. Of the truth, NOA will always come to do, they will do their best, and with hope that that best will contribute immensely to douse the tension in the society. But to be candid with you, if our policy actors, critical stakeholders, walk the talk, we shouldn't be where we are. And like I used to tell people, it is undoubted that only sustainable peace will guarantee sustainable development. And for us to have sustainable peace, we cannot place right and justice on vacation. We cannot do without talking about right and justice. We need to love Nigeria. We are Nigerians before we even acquire any other citizenship of any other country. We must contribute to the growth of our nation. But some things are certainly missing. Those we have entrusted with our lives. We have given mandate to spare to spare the leadership of the country to pilot our affairs collectively. They appear not to be living by what we collectively agreed on, and that is why we're having all these kinds of problems. You can imagine if such statement that came from a governor of a particular state, that some people should have given justification for people to carry arms and ammunition, which is actually prohibited even under a law in this country. Then it tells us a lot, because when you're talking about a governor, you mean someone who has been entrusted with many lives, whose statement is a policy. Whatever statement that comes is a policy, and I was very, very scared when I heard that statement. I said, wow, it is a catastrophe which every woman in Nigeria now knew. We need to call ourselves to order that come. Of the truth, the tension is so high in the country. No one should pray for war. No one should agitate for war, because you can never tell who the war will consume or who will stand to write the history. This is a trying time for Nigeria, that we must all understand that peace is inevitable. Even when some people are drawing drums of war, we must know that most of them have opportunity to fly their children, to fly their family abroad. Even you doubt if they are even around. So when they are drumming that bit of war, we Nigerians, we must be very, very careful. I don't discriminate against people. I will not say, oh, this is S-men, this is the farmers, this is this is that. I believe that criminality has no tribe, it has no ethnicity, but what every critical stakeholder must do is that for you not to be seen or suspected as an accomplice, we must all come out to condemn this and say, oh, we cannot continue like this. We have been coexisting peacefully before now. If another man, if an Igbo man is being killed or maimed or macheted, I don't see that situation as another tribe. I am considering I'm considering the humanity, the human in that person. You have taken a life. You have no passion for life. It is not about a tribe. So I think this period we are agitated. Nigerians are agitated. We in the civil society will be clamoring for restructuring. We say, let us restructure the country, let us do this. But the reality is now down on every one of us. It is time for us to manage that marriage which we have been patching, we have been managing. It is time for us to manage it the more now, because we can't afford to go to war, and we can't afford to start discriminating against ourselves. You could imagine a man who have lived virtually all his life in a particular state, and because one thing, who is even married to another tribe, how would you explain that such person should be discriminated upon, on what ground? So as a human rights activist, I don't believe in discrimination. I believe in peace. I believe in justice. I feel and think that we must do everything to uphold the human rights of everyone. Our actors should just come to the aids of the nation now. No one can tell. You cannot tell if you will be spared when it starts. And that is why we must all rise up to this occasion. We cannot afford to fold our arms. When you fold your arms in the days of evil, it is to say that you want that evil to thrive in the society. So we must not condemn it. Love is good. Love is inevitable for peace and even for justice. When you love your neighbor, you will not want to hurt that your neighbor. I love my fellow human beings. I shouldn't do anything that will hurt them. No matter how good any other country is, be it developed nation or whatsoever, we have our responsibility to keep this country growing. Except the country decide otherwise, that we want to part ways or whatsoever. Even at that, up to the point such will happen, which I do not emphasize, we must do everything to keep ourselves together. We must love ourselves. You can't afford to see your fellow human being being macheted. You can't afford to see your fellow human being being dehumanized, molested in your presence, and feel that, well, I felt that I'm less concerned. The same blood that flows in his vein flows in your own vein as well. So I think our humanity should speak for us now. We must all come out to condemn any act of criminality. Don't let us give it ethnic coloration. In as much as I agree that, well, the predominant situation is from a particular ethnic group, but now that they are coming out to say, come, it is not about us, it is about the criminals, then what we are demanding is, let us collectively fish out these criminals and bring them to book. And by so doing, we will reiterate our love and the need to continue to coexist peacefully in our society.
Okay, before Charity comes in, Charity, please, let me just throw this to Mr. Babalola. Yes, a lot of efforts is being put into actually bringing us together, making us believe that we are Nigerians. But how much of shock absorber do you people have when you get to hear statements, disappointing statements in court, where you don't expect that statement to emanate from? One is just what we just said now. Another one just we saw on the newspaper this morning, where a governor said herdsmen learned the act of kidnapping from militants. These are inflammatory statements that may throw spanner into the kind of good work you people are trying to do to pull us together as a nation. How do you cope with such things?
No, the business of orientation and mobilization is a very sensitive assignment, and of course is very tasky in the sense that there is a societal problem, and of course the parties are taking strong stance, believing in what they are pursuing. And of course, because that societal vice still exists, it is telling us that there is still a lot to do. Now, all that happened from last week till date is telling us that we should even assume we have not done anything, go back to our drawing boards, and of course, until we achieve our target. Now, rather than being discouraged, it is a challenge for our assignments. It is a challenge for more sensitization. It is a challenge to even take the message across all segments, both the high, the middle, the low, and the likes. This is the message I'm picking out of it. And even I wanted to say something in relation to what Comrade FOLARIN said. To me, the herdsmen, the farmers, more than any other person, needs to come together harmoniously. I'll give you a reason which anybody can afford. Their activities are complementary to each other. The cows need to feed on the leaves and the weeds the farmer is taking out of the farm. If they come together, the farmer, immediately the farmer gets rid of the weeds in his farm. He will take efforts to go and throw them away. So if there is a relationship, rather than throwing them away, he can get them together and give the farmers, if there is an understanding, even if he's going to sell, it's going to be a token amount, he can even give out freely because he needs something from the cows too. The cow, the feces that comes out from the cows, the cow passes feces too, Abi. Now it has a purpose. It is a fertilizer. It is a manure for the farmers. In fact, in some cases, the farmer will have to go and buy. It's even more natural than the artificial fertilizers. So that is why I'm saying that it is an intensive orientation, an intensive sensitization, an intensive mobilization. But I agree with you that our searchlights now should be across more than before. We've been doing it more than before, all sectors, both the leadership, the followers, and the likes. But the truth is that there is no other way to achieve this rather than a continuous orientation. The business of orientation is not a conclusive exercise. You say today, 1 or 2 people will hear you. Tomorrow, 2 or 3 people will hear you. Gradually, we get to the promised land. The issue of separation, issue of going, even, like you said, even if, yes, the worst scenario, which is not expected, countries are divided, yes, you still need to interact outside your domain. The issue of comparative advantage is still there. And the issue of interrelationship is still there. So what we are saying is that, yes, the solution is that every Nigerian should have a positive mindset. Love this country, be patriotic. Patriotism, love and patriotism is the answer we need. Once the individual, be the subordinates, the leadership, has the mindset that this Nigeria must exist, and the only way it must exist peacefully is for us to love each other, not to do things that will tarnish the personality, that will be detrimental to other individuals. Then we must return to yesteryears, where the value system played a major role. I've been advocating for this, but it has to be in the minds of all individuals, entrenched in our system. Until we do this, there is still a challenge to societal values
Okay, coming for Folarin, what could be the foundational problems? Now we are trying to provide solution on how to build a community of peace, a community of love. That means there has been problems that we must solve to achieve that. What do you think are the problems that that has brought about this crisis we are trying to manage in the country?
Well, thank you very much. I think the summary of our problem has been a kind of unholistic, unholy approach to issues of rights and justice. A situation where there's no equality, where we don't prioritize we don't prioritize the needs of the people. For instance, even from the foundation, when we returned back to let me just say, when we returned back to democracy, the letters we all seems to see as a guiding light, that is our constitution. There are so many faults we have there. A situation where it has been said that the people of Nigeria agree that they will be guided by this, they will be governed by this, and you discover that even the people of Nigeria at no point in time did they sit down and say, this is how we want to be guided. We say we're practicing democracy, and that participation is not there. The people are not being carried along, and you make governance to be as if, well, some people are relevant, some are not relevant. There is lack of equity. There is no equality, and those are part of the major problem. And it's where you see when you expect government to act for the overall benefit of the people, and you now discover that government is being seen proclaiming favoritism, that okay, you are already government is being sentimental over issues that are supposed to be of concern. When we talk of Nigeria, you see, we have to be concerned as Nigerians, and anyone who is leading the country, or be it at the level of the state, local government, and or the federal, you must speak in line with that word Nigeria. You must speak for all Nigerians. You should not give a perception that, okay, some people will feel, oh, because we have so president or we have so governor, then we should have more advantage, we should have immunity to perpetrate impunity or whatsoever. I think the body language is also affecting us seriously, which the policy actors who needs to act, they fail to act. I was expecting that the information ministry and the information ministry and even the security agencies who have been speaking against hate speech and all of this stuff should have come out to condemn the statement from the governor, that this statement is dangerous for our survival as a country. It's dangerous. You shouldn't have said this. Well, many Nigerians should have come out to condemn that no, you cannot say this. And I must tell you, majority groups, ethnicity have justification to carry weapons. If I feel I am unsafe, I could say, okay, the next thing I want to do, I can have justification to carry weapons, to also carry AK-47, but the reality is that we have laws that are guiding us that prohibit such, and we must be law-abiding citizens. So if somebody is now coming to give justification that, oh, some people should be doing this, then they have justification, or we are thinking of creating agency for a particular business. If you say, I am not, I'm not against the elders. We all eat from what they rear the cow. We eat meat. We do all of this, and we should encourage that they contribute immensely to the economy of the nation. But at the same time, we must be law-abiding. You cannot say because you want to give preferential treatment to some a certain tribe of business, then you now think you should turn the law upside down. I read it with a very sad view yesterday when I heard that the federal government may be contemplating, the Attorney General of the Federation is advising the federal government to come up with agency for cattle rearing, and so I said, well, what about the poultry the poultry farmers? They could also come up. Those who are ponding, who are into fish ponding, could also come up. Then we have to create many agencies for every business in the society. So we are not actually, our body language is not addressing the foundational problem. The problem to be solved is for those whom we are watching, the leaders, to speak the language Nigerians want to hear. This is not the time for them to be speaking in such a manner that will get divided the more. It's not the time. It is time for you to preach, like Noah is doing, for you to preach unity of the country, that patriotism is very, very much needed at this time. Irrespective of irrespective of who is affected in one way or the other, you must speak along the line. When America was attacked even by some enemies of the state, what you see a combined effort that, no, God bless America, we cannot allow that. It is a shame to our country. It is this, it is that. They condemn this. That same patriotism should reign in this country. But where those who have started with the responsibility of leading us are not even speaking along that line, and it is as if there's high-level conspiracy against the masses. It appears that they benefit more in our division, and that is where Nigerians need to be very, very careful. If that politician is telling you, go ahead and maim, keep beating the drum of one, we will not accept this, we will not accept that. You need to ask yourself a question: where are the family members of that politician? Even he himself, do you know whether he's holding a diplomatic passport? Do you know whether he moves around with his passport any day, any time, and he can fly whenever the problem arises? So when they are pushing us to the wall, we have to equally be very, very careful. Love and peace is very, very necessary. But talking about the foundation is very, very faulty. Saying they are carrying arms, they are carrying arms because they have learned that from militants. Who have not learned from militants? Even those who have not learned directly, they've watched how militants operate. Everyone wants to be secured. When there is no sustainable security, it's more or less that we are all running on promo, because at the end of the day, whatever you think you have put together, we end up being consumed within a short period. So I want to appeal to the conscience of our leaders, the politicians, and the Nigerian people. We are in a very, very critical period, a very dangerous period that we must overcome to remain as a country. Quoting from the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, that it appears the country is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. For us not to get exploded, because if the explosion arises, you can never tell from where or who it will actually consume. But for us not to get to that point, please and please, let us do it right. And to steps to doing it right is to know that we are Nigerians. Either we like it or not, like the director have said, even if at the end of the day we are parting ways, we will definitely still need ourselves. You want to cross to the other side to say you need visa, you look at the comparative advantages, whereas I'm not seeing that happening. I'm not seeing it happening. We are not preaching for such, but our leaders must speak for us all. We must do it right. This is not the time to keep silent. This is not the time to fold our arms. That northern man is my fellow brother. As a Yoruba man gets married to an Hausa man gets married to an Igbo man, and they give birth to children. Why should we say we want to discriminate? Is it that man who have equally spent most of his life? But what we need at this time is that every one of us must speak for this country, and to speak for this country is to condemn every act of criminality, because we cannot remain where we are. Seeing all those gory images in the last few weeks, how people are being killed, how they are being maimed, where some are having sleepless nights. You cannot even tell what will happen in the next minute, in the next hour. Some part of the state are not at peace. We cannot say they are at war, but it's as if they are not at peace. They cannot see the way I'm sitting. It is very, very sad.
Yeah,
and it is a very, very sad situation. Yet, some of our people are not seeing it the way they should be seen. They are not speaking the way they should speak. For what reason? Should it be a crime for the people to have entrusted their leaders with their with a mandate?
That's why we are here to propose solution.
So part of the solution is that we all need to speak right.
Babalola this question, because they say our institutions in Nigeria, the government-owned organizations, play some major parts in what is happening now, and we don't believe in our institutions. Taking your orientation campaigns, you take it to them too, to orientate them on how to be patriotic, on how to run a very effective organization that Nigerians will believe that when I get to this office, as in I will be treated as a Nigerian, not treated as a top person, a low person. You take your messages to them too.
You see, like I said, the way we work, we have our strategies, we have our units of operations and the likes. There is no segment of the society, the leadership, even the media executives, the military top hierarchies, the rank and file, all segments of the society are brought together in our orientation program. But like I told you, the issue of social vices, the bastardization of yesteryears that we are making conscious efforts to correct could not be a conclusive exercise. The societal problem is operated mostly on individualistic tendencies as against collectivity. And when this happens, it's a continuous exercise. In fact, it's an effort that has to be on a daily basis. Not only by NOA, by all stakeholders. The media, you are playing your role. Everybody, both even in the private organization. It is a conspicuous problem now. It is a major problem now. It is both the leadership, the government, all socialization institutions. I think I've said it here. It is the collapse of these socialization institutions that has brought us to where we are. The first socialization agency is the family. Immediately a child is born, the child is born into a family. The family is the engine room of behavior molding. Some positive behavior values ought to have been inculcated at that level. And we must, but the truth is that the family institution has collapsed. The woman that is meant to play a major role in this area now pursues pecuniary motive, goes as early as the man does, neglecting that aspect of the family role. The next institution is the school system. I've said it here once. The next institution is the school system. Well, these are the government, everybody is trying to reorganize that. But the truth is that this institution has equally collapsed. There is a failure of responsibility. Mostly now, what do you find in schools? Maybe government is making efforts to control that now. For the past few years, it's been under control. But the truth is that teachers goes to school, not be contented with the salaries, goes to school with the wares and items to sell. The female ones goes with vegetables to be processed, use the students. There is a disorganization. There is a distortion of objective. The next institution is the religious organization. The objectives are being modeled together. The religious organization, I said it here once, maybe the last time I came, has a peculiar role to play. I'm a member of that institution, but the truth must be said. We have a peculiar role to play. In fact, the society respects any leader, the president, the governor, the GM of your station, the MOA man here. I don't know about FOLARIN, but I'm sure he does too. Respects his or her spiritual leader. In fact, if he will not listen to anybody, he will listen to his spiritual leader. Why don't we capitalize on this advantage and use this to pass messages, positive messages, messages of love, messages of peace, messages of being your brother's keeper, messages of stop naming people, love your neighbor. There is no way these messages will come from our altars that it will not make a difference. And of course, the last institution is the government. The government is trying, but we all have to do more. It is now an emergency now that we must return Nigeria. That is what I'm appealing for. We must return Nigeria and Nigerians to yesteryears, where our value system, values of honesty, be your brother's keeper, good neighborliness, played a major role. We must do the right thing. Once you do the right thing, I do the right thing, love my neighbor, embrace peace, live harmoniously, we shall be well with Nigeria. That change we want must come from you, must come from me, and Nigeria will be.
I look at the country and I look at what people will call the good old days. I remember I grew up in the South, and of course I know that it is only when we come home for this one or two festivals that some of us will speak Yoruba. We have friends from there. I know that many northern people grew up in the Southwest, they have their business here, they went to school here. Likewise, moms too, we have Iyakanu, because they have actually stayed there, and we have interwoven, so to say, and intermarriages. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria was known, has been known as a country which relished in unity and diversity. Where did we get it wrong? Any hope of return to the old unity?
Well, where we got it wrong, sincerely, if I would say, the last time I visited South Africa, I was privileged to be among some Nigerians and even some South Africans. We're comparing that Nigeria has everything. We are blessed, we have oil, we have everything. In fact, we have many tribes, and yet we are still not getting it right. We have so many advantages than even those we suspect to be above us, but yet we are not getting it right. And the Nigerian said, maybe it's because the colonial master left Nigeria so early. I said, bro, that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a crime to be a Nigerian. But where we got it right, where we got it wrong, was returning back to democracy and not believing in democracy. Obviously, there was a disconnect from the onset. The marriage was not a marriage, was like a forceful marriage. And even by agreement, there ought to have been another round table to decide or to x-ray how far we've been coming and whether we are still okay with what we have or not. But the major problem of Nigeria has been bad leadership, greed, selfishness, pretense, not believing in what you preach. We preach unity, but we don't believe in that unity, because we benefit most in diversity we benefit most in division. We say we are indivisible country, yet our attitude, our activities does not tend towards living us together, building that good relationship, building peace. Does not preach it. So I think getting where we got it wrong was not believing in what we preach. We say democracy is government of the people, for the people, by the people. But you see that the people's role is actually not being seen as a major role. The people are not allowed to participate in the governance of their country. And that is where we actually got it wrong. It's a nation where greed has dominated some persons, that what's supposed to belong to millions of people. One man wants to have it all to himself, and stealing billions, stealing millions that's supposed to be for healthcare services, that's supposed to be for the welfare of the students to build institutions. Even we don't even believe in our institutions these days. In those days, you can actually point to, I want to be, you see young ones growing up and say, no, I want to be like YINKA, I want to be like this, I want to be like that. How many role models are we growing, are we seeing today? Those days we talk about you are even being persuaded. You are being persuaded to go to school. You have free education. Leaving school, you are assured of getting good jobs. But today, even workers are not even happy, because even their pensions at the end of the day is not even being guaranteed. You could see a situation where what you are entitled to, you are not even assured of getting it at the end of the day. You are being preached to have hope in the country. But what you see on a daily basis is hopelessness. You are not seeing a guaranteed future. And that is the problem we have. And to cry it all, I want to say, for us to go back to our values of yesterday, every critical stakeholder, all actors, we must be prepared. We must sit down again and say we want to go back to those days. And to go back to those days is to believe holistically in Nigeria.
Mr. Shola BABALOLA, any hope of returning to the old unity?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Let me answer that by answering the earlier question.
By looking at where we got it wrong.
Where we got it wrong. Where we got it wrong is that the society has set legitimate means of achieving legitimate goals.
Okay, I like that.
There are norms of the society has laid down for you to achieve legitimate goals.
Yeah.
Now we got it wrong because I said it earlier. We pursue individualism as against collectivism. So that's where we got it wrong, because individuals now, individuals too have legitimate goals. I want to be this in life. And right from the onset, we pursue it. We got it wrong because the individuals now wants to deviate from the legitimate means of achieving legitimate goals, results into deviation, and returns the society into normlessness, collapse of the value system. So the way out, like you said, is to all of us return Nigeria to those yesteryears where you have to pursue legitimate goals using legitimate means, no cutting of corners. The individual tendency must disappear. You want, even as we are seated, if there are 5 things put on the table, you will want to take around about 3, leaving 2 if it is possible,
for about 5 people.
Definitely, there will be discontent, there will be frustration, it will aggravate to segregation, thereby leading to suicide and the likes. This is the genesis of our problem. Let us return Nigeria to where the norms of the society, we achieve legitimate goals using legitimate means. Sociological.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful session with the duo of Mr. SOLA Babalola, the State Director of the National Orientation Agency, and of course, Comrade YINKA, FOLARIN, National Secretary, CDHR. We've been talking about building a people of peace, fall in love with Nigeria, and we looked at different approaches, different approach that we can use, and both of them have actually. It's unfortunate that we cannot take calls come to the end of the program, but I know that this is a topic that is of interest. But for now, at least, and we pray it will be for life. We are all Nigerians. It doesn't really matter where you are from, and that's what these two gentlemen have preached. So we must come together and work collectively to continue to make Nigeria relevant to our lives. And I like that phrase, using legitimate goals
means to achieve legitimate goals.
Using legitimate means to achieve legitimate goals. Also on that note, I want to thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming onto the program. And of course, we hope that one of these days we'll also be here for another interesting topic. Thank you, Mr. SOLA Babalola. Thank you, Comrade YINKA, FOLARIN. Of course, you're still watching the program, the Wednesday edition of Newdawn. We'll be back. We have one more session to go as far as the discussion segment of this program is concerned. Don't go nowhere.